It's on.
Okay, is it on?
There it is.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Representative Smith's going to say the prayer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If y'all bow with me. Lord, we thank you for this day, and you guide us every day. Help us to pay attention to what you have to say and help us to do your will when representing the citizens of this great state of Georgia. We ask you to grant us wisdom and be with us during this meeting time. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Representative. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to let Josh from DOT introduce our first presenter.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman, members of the committee. Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Clement Solomon, who is GDOT's director of our intermodal division. That is the division that is over rail, airports, ports and waterways, and transit. And so he's going to today provide you kind of the meat of the pending study and survey that was done in the airports dealing with hangar capacity. I know something that the vice chair was very instrumental in this committee. We appreciate all your help in making sure that we got the fulsome responses that we did. So they're in the process of compiling, the full scope of the report. But today, Dr. Solomon is going to be able to provide you with really the core of it. And just as a reminder, the last time that the committee talked about this matter in anticipation of this presentation, there was a big focus on and discussion about the opportunities for potential kind of like a loan program, revolving loan type approach to potentially tackling some of these hangar needs. So to that point, I think there'll be a lot of information also supporting that vein of discussion. And with that, I will turn it over to Clement.
Thank you, Josh. Hear me? Okay. How about now? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Chair, members of the Transportation Committee. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you information on our hangar inventory and demand analysis that we did in 2023. The study is in direct response to the 2021 legislative committee on that looked at airport infrastructure and improvements. And one of the recommendations there was to study a hangar development and a loan program to build hangars in Georgia. So with that as the backdrop, we launched into a study looking at inventory and demands for hangars in the state across 102 airports in the state. So what I want to do today is present to you an overview of the survey that we did. We still haven't finalized all our documents yet, but we will be working through that in the next several weeks. Hopefully within the next month, we should have some really good products that we can share with you. Let me see. How do I advance that? Okay, we can move on to slide 2. The study itself focused on 3 major components. The first part was just the inventory and the demand. We also looked at programs across other states. And then the third part was to look at best management practices for hangars across the state. As you can see, there is a clear business case. I think a lot of folks realize that. Hangars can increase revenue streams at general aviation airports, making them self-sufficient. It can also be a good sustainable system for airports as they generate revenue. And the local economy also can benefit due to indirect benefits that can come through construction and other tax benefits due to real estate in that particular city or county. What's the next one? So we not just go. So let's go to slide 3. Here, it's a busy slide here, but if you were to look at the map on the left, you can see the total demand up on top. We went through a filtering process where we had a number of requests that were made, but as part of this study, we did eliminate duplication. So we came up with about 1,400 airports or hangar spaces that these different airports across the state were in need of. To the bottom chart that you have, you can see about 46% of the hangars were airport owned, and 54 were owned by others, primarily private investment. And the picture on the top right, you could see the types of hangars. Most of the hangars in the state of Georgia are T hangars. That was about 55%, and the corporate hangars were about 28%. And then you also had community and maintenance hangars as well. Moving on to slide number 4. We did look at some funding sources. Most airports in Georgia, especially the smaller general aviation airports, and those that are in rural areas, have limited funding options. They rely on local funding or private developers. One of the important points that we wanted to note in this slide is federal rules require that all safety projects be met before you go into developing hangars. Just as a rule of thumb, airports, with less than 10 based aircraft are not even eligible for federal funding, and those with 10 get about $150,000 annually that they can use for a hangar construction. The rates that we looked at here in Georgia, as far as T hangars go, range from about $200 for airport owned, and about $340 for airports that were privately owned. Going on to the next slide, just some closing thoughts here. Hangars, as we went through this presentation, hangars do have a good potential to generate revenue. The demand for hangars continues to increase. Hangar development costs also increase, and we do have some data that we will share with you folks when the reports come out. Also look at 2-year lead time for a typical hangar development, and one of the things is, as I mentioned earlier, is to consider developing a hangar loan program. If you look at the pie chart on the right, just wanted to bring to your attention some of the data that we collected. There are about 2% of the hangars that have failed. Basically what that means is the structure needs immediate replacement. 13% in poor condition. The age and the condition of the hangar indicate that that it does need major rehab. Of course, you do have some hangars that are in good condition, and some that are recently constructed as well. So that's it. That's sort of an overview of what we have as of the hangar study. But please keep in mind that we will have more information as we finalize and review data and analyze it in the coming weeks.
All right. Thank you so much for that report and for being so available to us when we have questions about these issues. We do have a couple of questions. We'll start with Representative Smith, number 27.
27. Thank you, Madam Chair. So you're talking about the big report coming out. Can you anticipate when that might be? Will it be months, or when do you think?
I anticipate this to be available in a month or so.
Okay. Probably after we're out of session, maybe, I guess. We get out the 28th of March, so. But you can get that to us can you send that to the committee when you do get that report?
Sure.
Yeah.
We'll make an effort to get it sooner, but, that's about the ballpark that we're looking at.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a question on that last slide, talking about condition of the hangar structures. Could you go over just real quickly, what types of things would you be looking at? So, for example, poor condition. What are some of the factors there? What about how are they ranked? How are they rated? Sorry, could you just go over that?
The failed you can't even use. You can't park anything in there. The failed does need, it's just the age and the condition. They're over. The typical useful life will be about 40 years. Some of these are over 50 years. I was just sitting with someone in the back there that they said that their hangars were 52 years. So the structure itself, but then also meeting some of the regulatory requirements, such as insulation, other conditions within the airport, within the hangar that need to be brought to code as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? You will? Okay, why don't you make one up for us?
Looking at when you're on, I guess, slide before that one. That's perfect. Thank you, Josh, or whoever. You said there's a 2-year lead time. Like when you establish, you mentioned something about a 2-year lead time to get a hangar. Why so long?
Well, it involves all the way from funding to design and getting that in place. But that's the typical timeline, but that's what it usually is.
No pun on building a hangar, but this ain't rocket science to build a T hangar. If an airport shouldn't they have a design model that fits kind of their look, or that they're kind of like building in a subdivision. Subdivisions, you through your zone, you get, hey, this is the type of home we're going to build. Shouldn't these airports kind of have that plan up front so it doesn't take a 2-year lead time to build a hangar?
That's the data that we got, but I'm happy to follow up with you with some more information on the lead time question. I'd be happy to.
And one follow-up question, please. When you have the owner hangars versus owned by the airport, who owns the property that the hangar is sitting on?
I would say the airport owns the property. It is leased to the developers.
Long-term lease?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right. That'll be all for me.
Chairman Jaspers.
Thank you, ma'am. If you will forgive me for being in the Ways and Means Committee. I would rather be here,
I'll forgive you.
though I do love them right now. Hey, I got a question. You may have already answered this, but I need to know, and I need to make sure I'm clear on it. On that second or third slide, we're talking about demand, ownership, and type. You say the current demand's 1405. Is that cross-referenced? Does that mean that if I've got my name at Cherokee and at Pickens and at Cobb, it is 1?
Yes, sir. We did go through a filtering process. Just to give you some context, the raw data was about 2,300. So we did filter that, and we did review that. So we're pretty confident of that 1,400 number.
Okay. And so can we request, or is it available yet, to look at Area 5, and I can look at each county at those 199, and I can tell, or they can use it also as a planning guide, that there's the appropriate, I guess I'm looking for just that real granular data. Is that going to be available soon, or is that what you were talking about
Yes,
a month out?
Yes. We should be able to provide more details. Yes, we should be able to.
And so just in summary, to me, to make sure, under this, we need 1,400 more hangars at this moment.
Come again?
And so I guess to make sure I'm reading this right, under the summary, that we need 1,400 more hangar spaces, whichever way we come about getting them.
Yes, based on the survey.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear from the association if they're here, Madam Chairman, if we can, if they have any opinions on this, or if they want to wait for another day to speak on it, if it's appropriate with you.
We do have one other question.
Sure.
Why don't we go ahead and handle that, and then y'all are welcome to come up.
Thank you, Madam
Chairman
Chair.
Prince.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question goes a little bit back to where the chairman is going, and I'm going to that fifth slide where you have sort of closing thoughts. That loan program, what type of, can you expand on that more? What type of loan program are we talking about? Based on the comments above, that hangars are, they generate revenue, the demand continues to increase. I would think the demand would drive the dollars to do this. So, can you talk a little bit about that? Thank you.
We did look at a few other states that do have revolving loan programs. So it can be anywhere from 10, 20, 30 interest rates from 0 to 4%. So there's a whole range. But we don't have any specific recommendation to it. But what we've studied shows that can be anywhere from 10 to 30 years, and the interest rate 0 to 4% as well.
Chairman Prince, also, we're looking at this very seriously. We've got a idea in Legislative Council right now to address this, but I sure would like to see what you found out in other states to see if I'm chasing the right rabbit. And you've looked at it carefully, so I'd love to get with you and make sure we're sort of in the right thing. You know, the committee, and I think we'd have to do something, and it could be after crossover day, but kind of set the table for what we would like, because then we'd have to, of course, get appropriations in the amended next year or 26 budget to fund something like that. But I think it's real important that we go ahead and pursue this right now. And so we're on the move. Thanks.
We did survey 10 states that
Okay.
have this program, so I'd be happy to share that data
Thank you.
with you as well.
All right, great. Any other questions while we have the gentleman here? It's a good time. No? Okay, if you'd like to come up and address some of these issues and maybe take a few questions, we'd love for you to do that. And if you would, please reintroduce yourself for everybody.
I'm sorry?
If you would just introduce yourself.
Okay,
It's been
sure.
It's been a little while since
Yeah, it has
you were
been.
here. Yeah, thank you.
I'm Hope Macaluso. I'm the aviation director of Atlanta Regional Airport, Falcon Field in Peachtree City. I'm also the chairperson for the Association of Georgia General Aviation Airports, or AGA for short. I haven't seen the full study yet, so we are very excited to see what they did come up with. I know during the survey they were very thorough with the information that they gathered with the airports, and very specific with the information that was involved in the survey. Some of the things that came up, the 2-year lead time, not every airport has a site prep ready. There's site prep that obviously goes into it, and depending on where the hangar is located, there could be an environmental study done. Environmental study is not something we can do and sit on the shelf. That's about an 18-month, up to 18 months just for an environmental study, depending on the location that's selected for the hangar build. So all those go into the lead time. Also, there's I forgot who else also asked about it. There's not a lot of construction companies that it's a very specialty item to do an aircraft hangar. Not every construction company can do an aircraft hangar. Specifically, the smaller ones that are meant for the smaller aircraft. They're subdivided. It's a specialty hangar, and finding the sources to build those hangars is difficult. So you may only get one bid on the job. So that's an issue we've come across as well. Prices have come down a little bit, so that's helpful, but they're still really high. Trying to think of what else that came up that I might get help with as well. But so the funding part of it, especially for the smaller airports in our state, they're struggling just to keep the airport maintained. And so building buildings is low on their list because they're just trying to keep up with day-to-day maintenance. But do you have any other questions of me specifically?
Any questions? Floor Leader McDonald?
Environmental study. Why would one DOT not be encouraging these, especially you look at the North Georgia area and in Zone 1, needing 276, go out to these airports and say, go ahead and start an environmental study. Go ahead and start it tomorrow so that you know the footprint of your airport where there might be issues for future planning and growth of your airport instead of waiting for whether it's the report from DOT or, the demand seems to be there.
Demand is, and if you know the funding is coming, absolutely, you want to do that. It's not inexpensive to do an environmental survey, and they're only good for 3 years. And so you can't just sit it there waiting for the funding to come out to build your building. So you kind of have to know the funding's coming to build the building. But yeah, design can be done during the environmental study, so there are some things that can happen at the same time, but there is lead time with that.
Chairman Carpenter.
Thank you very much. Just something caught me off guard right there. Does the state set the environmental standards, or is it the feds that makes that report only 3 years valid?
NEPA, which is the National Environmental Protection, yes.
Okay, so this, as a state, we can't say, let's make that sucker 6 years so
No,
we can get some. All right, thank you.
That's a federal requirement, yeah. And primarily, this is land bought with federal dollars. Most of your airports are bought with federal dollars, so we definitely have to go by their rules.
All right, thank you. I don't see any other questions unless you have something else, Chairman Jaspers. Oh. Okay.
If any of the members are very interested in this, get with me, because certainly we need to put a little group together to look at this and pursue it and get a bill sponsor. I'd be glad to pass that on.
Noted. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we do appreciate you coming and talking to us today, and look forward to hearing more about the hangar situation in our state.
Thank you for looking at it.
Absolutely. Okay. Next on the agenda is Representative Mathis has House Resolution 918 to present to us. Thank you, Representative Mathis, for your patience. You can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank
we look
you
forward
for
to
your
hearing
patience.
about
I think
your
I was supposed to be
resolution.
here a little bit earlier, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
Well, I heard you were attending to some important matters.
Yeah, I was escorting Representative Sain's guests while some other guests were somewhere. So I'll just leave it at that. But thank you, Vice Chairman Hagan. I appreciate it. Members of the committee. This is House Resolution 918. Let me give you a little history, if you don't mind. We've had, I'm so old, if you didn't already know that, the part of this corridor, this Golden Isle Greenway that we're trying to do is really going to take over the Cochran Short Route. People that lived in that area for years, back years ago, they built a road from Cochran to Macon and called it the Cochran Short Route. So basically this is the same road. And then when I-16 came in, they came up with an idea of having a Golden Isle Parkway. And they named that part of the Cochran Short Route the Golden Isle Parkway. Well, then it evolved into where somehow these nice folks at the legislature decided they named two other routes the Golden Isle Parkway, come down 75, go to Perry, and hit 341, and they call that the Golden Isle Parkway. They also did it down 16, down to 441, which is right there at Dublin, and go down to McRae, and they named that the Golden Isle Parkway. So we felt like the best, and if you look at a little map that I got, the straightest way to the coast from Macon or Atlanta is straight through this corridor that we're asking for. The great thing about it is I had worked with former Representative and Speaker of the House and Appropriations Chairman Terry Coleman about this. When Representative Coleman or Speaker Coleman was in the legislature, they redid the Cochran Short Route. From 96 Highway south was already 4-laned. So from Cochran to 96 is 4-lane now. But north of that, which is probably about 25 miles, was still 2-lane, but it had to be redone. So with the foresight that Speaker Coleman had, they went ahead and made all the bridges compatible to 4-lane highway. So what we're talking about here is just a 4-lane road, but the bridges are already complete. And I think there's 4 bridges on this road. And it's about a 20-mile stretch. The good thing about it is you come out of Macon, you go by the Okmulgee Indian Mounds, which is a great tourist attraction, and you come down to exit 6. And when you exit off there, you're in a beautiful section. You have Bond Swamp down that road, which is a nature trail down there. You also have it's funny, we call it Brown Mountain. And Brown Mountain, we're kind of in the very, very last part of the foothills of Georgia in this area that you're talking about. And it goes into the north end of Bleckley. I know Chairman Jaspers has lived down there, so he knows the north end of the county. You think you're in the, kind of a mountainous area. We got rugged. And then you get in the bottom, it starts getting like the plain. So what we're asking to do is to rename this the Golden Isle Greenway. We already have some solar facilities. I think we have the largest solar facility east of the Mississippi that's in Twiggs County along this what will be this greenway. So what we're asking for is us it takes in part of Bibb County, and the great thing about the part in Bibb County is just a small part. It's already has passing lanes on both sides going over Brown Mountain. So this thing is set up to be done, I'm not going to say at a minimal cost with Josh sitting back there. There's nothing minimal when you're building roads and that sort of thing, but there's already a lot of the infrastructure already there. And what this would do, it would tie in some rural parts of Georgia, get into it, I'm in Bibb, and you start in that area, and you do have convenience stores and a few little restaurants right on that exit. And as you go through, it comes down to 96 Highway. 96 Highway is being 4-lane from 16 to go across to Warner Robins, then on over to Columbus. That's the idea of going through there like that. So this road would open up some opportunities for some of the green energy things that are going on all up and down 16. It would take a lot of the heat off 16. I think some of y'all ride up and down it pretty regular. It is loaded. 75, we know that is. And so this would, not only would it make a shorter route, it would open up another 4-lane corridor, because like I said, from 96 south all the way to the coast, after they finish that construction between Cochran and Eastman, is going to be 4-lane all the way down. So we won't have but one little section that needs to be done. It'd be a great impact for Twiggs County. I believe it will be for Bleckley County and Dodge. And what this will do is Dodge has a spur on the north end of their county, which runs as an 87 spur that runs, it would run from this corridor, or this greenway, over to 341, which was the original, one of the Golden Isle Parkways. So I would like for your favorable vote on this. We'd love to get this moving. I want to say thank you to the Commissioner of Bleckley County, Mike Davis. He was very instrumental in it. I want to say thank you to Dan McCraney down in Eastman. He was very, very instrumental, and with his commissioners. We have a sole commissioner in Bleckley, but in Twiggs, Ken Fowler and his commissioners are all on board with this, and I would appreciate any favorable vote on it. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best I can.
Thank you, Representative Mathis. Chairman Jaspers.
Thank you, ma'am. So if you're successful with this, you would make it easier for us to get to Scott's Barbecue?
Yes, sir. It would make it very, very easy. And you know, you mentioned that, and I know you know how good that place is. You know, it's kind of, there's not much between where we get off at 16 when you get there on this. There is a Dollar General at Huber now, but as you go through there, when you get to Cochran, you do have all the facility, and you do all the way to the coast from there. Once you get to Cochran, we have gas, lodging, all the way down. Because it's such a wonderful little drive. If you've never been that way, when you come off of the interstate there at Macon and you come through, you go to Cochran, you go to Eastman, you go to McRae, Helena, and you got some beautiful little places like Chauncey. Then you get on the other side of McRae and Helena, you got Lumber City. Lumber City is where the largemouth bass in the world was caught. And you cross that river and you go to Hazelhurst, beautiful place. You go down and you go through Graham, you get down there and you're down there and you're in Hazelhurst, and I mean, and you're in Baxley, and I don't know if you've been there lately, you got more cars down there and you want to shake a stick at it. It's just, Woody Folsom, they just huge. And then you go to Surency. Don't want to forget Surency. You go through those little towns. What I'm saying to you is, this is some of the things that you used to do if you take your family, not flying down the interstate, missing all this stuff. There's a lot of history down there. And we go back and forth to St. Simon's a good little bit. My wife loves that place. But it's just a beautiful drive down there. It take, from where we're at, it takes about 2.5 hours. You can be on the island. So it's a good thing. But yeah.
I just want to add, obviously you're very proud of your hometown.
Absolutely.
And the area there, but you think about what you have there, Middle Georgia College.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it would help. I think you feel that would help that in economic development. And I think, what tier county is Bleckley? Do you know off the top of your head? What tier county are you? Are you
I'm
a
not
tier?
sure.
Tier 2, 3, 1? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
I know you're not a 4.
Not sure.
You know, so yours is that it would help economic development.
Yeah.
Be a little easier, maybe spread it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I know that's something that's very important to you.
Well, it's ironic. We were sitting here talking about aviation just then. Middle Georgia State University has the aviation school here in Georgia. We are busting at the seams in Eastman. They've already contacted us, and I've already talked to Josh a little bit, and we're talking about we're going to need help with the Cochran-Bleckley Airport because we're going to have to expand. They've got so many folks trying to enroll that they're going to have to. They already do some of their flights out of there. I did not understand this till I went to a meeting down there. That airport down there in Eastman is either the second or third most busiest airport in Georgia because of the flight school. And they not only do the flight training, they also do mechanics.
Yeah.
We're hoping to expand. Now, this is a wish of mine that maybe we can get into the air traffic controller business because that's a shortage too. So all that is right there. All together. Most of the students are housed in in the Cochran campus at Middle Georgia College or Middle Georgia State University. So we're working together. Yes, there are opportunities, and there's some other things that's going on down there that we hope that we'll bring in there.
Well, I know in this community, when I lived in Cochran in 1981, that we had to drive up the very road we wanted to go out for nightlife in Macon. Miss Jaspers and I had to go up that road to get to something.
Cochran short route.
That's
what it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
It certainly is evident that you love that part of the state. There are some wonderful small towns on that route.
They really
You
are.
have several questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Representative McCullum.
Thank you for this. Sounds like a good plan. I had a quick question. So you had alluded to you're old, and when you were a younger man, how long would it take for you to get from your district to Atlanta on a horse and buggy, you think?
Well, I had a fast horse, so I'm a little quicker than most folks.
I got to defend the representative over this. When I moved to Cochran in 1981, this gentleman had what did you have? A Road Runner or a Super
No,
Bird?
It was Superbird.
A Super Bird.
Yeah.
In
Well,
his garage, I would drive past that and envy that car. Now, if you don't know what a Super Bird is,
It
would
didn't
you
have
bring,
the
would
Hemi,
you bring
but
a
it-
picture of that car and show it to the committee next time we meet?
Well, I'm gonna have to do that. We it had a
No,
440.
no,
It
so-
didn't have the Hemi, but it would go.
Chairman Carpenter.
Thank you so much. So, just as you sitting here talking about this, me and my wife and family had a place at Jekyll, and so we actually took that route many times. I had an old school bus that we fixed up into a camper, and we took it through, blew a tire in Hazelhurst. You know, we spent some time on that road, but just a suggestion, as you're talking about a greenway corridor, as an owner of an EV, I think it, most of the federal and state grant money is really focused on major thoroughfares, 75, 16, 95. If we could see about doing some investment in corridors like this, I think there's some opportunity for rural tourism as EV drivers drive through your community, charge their car for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and go shop and eat at your restaurant. So, I depending on what all happens with this, I think you need to explore that conversation.
Agree wholeheartedly.
Floor Leader McDonald.
Kind of a two-part question. I'll combine them. This Golden Isle Greenway, how close does it come to East Dyke Street?
Oh, it's right there.
I've-
We got a little bypass, but yes, it comes real
I
close to
figured
East
that.
Dyke
I figured
Street.
that.
You actually
and-
cross over at the 26 highway is East Dyke Street.
Okay, I figured it was pretty close to a place. And if something tragically happened to me while passing through, am I required to use your funeral home?
That's right.
I
I wondered
gonna
how
be-
long it'd
gonna be
take for that
tough
to
on
come
me.
up.
We'll make an exception for you.
All right, Chairman Prince.
Madam Chair, at the proper time, I'd like to make a motion to do pass.
I believe this is the proper time.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, we've discussed this and had a great conversation around
Oh,
this
wonderful.
wonderful part of the state.
I love
Is
it.
there any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of House Resolution 918, please say aye. Any opposed, say no. All right. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I appreciate y'all. I think it would benefit us.
Thank you, Representative. Is there any other business that we need to bring before the committee? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned.